That's something we
Ready?
I'm ready. Both of these need your signature.
The time is approximately 6 p.m. on July 27th, 2023. Farragut Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting will now begin. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and online. I want to thank you for your presence at tonight's Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. My name is Mayor Ron Williams. I'm the fourth elected mayor of the town of Farragut. We appreciate that each of you has taken the time from your busy schedules to either attend or view tonight's meeting to see how our town government works. All Farragut Board of Mayor and Alderman meetings are public notice per Tennessee state law. Our meetings can be seen live on Charter Channel 193 and on TDS Channel 3, as well as the Farragut YouTube channel and our website. All board meetings are recorded and can be viewed at a later date on the mentioned locations. If you are in attendance, you should be able to pick up a copy of tonight's agenda at the door when you came in tonight. If you were not able to attend tonight and are viewing from home, then the agenda is available online at our website. For those in attendance that would like to speak, please pick up a blue card at the door, write in your name and the agenda number that you would like to comment on. There will also be time reserved at the end of tonight's meeting for resident comments on non-agenda subjects, which also requires that you fill out a blue card with the resident comments as the time that you wish to speak. On each agenda item, the mayor will ask the town recorder for the residents' input. During this time, any Farragut resident who wishes to speak to the board on that specific agenda item may do so for up to 5 minutes. After being recognized by the mayor, please go to the podium microphone in order to be heard and viewed by all. To conduct efficient, business-like meetings, the town has adopted rules for how its meetings will be conducted. Primarily, these rules are designed to keep the meeting moving, to assure that all points of view are heard and considered, and to provide common courtesy to everyone. We ask that you observe the established meeting rules when addressing the board. Number one, at the beginning of the presentation, please state your name and address for the record. We ask that you address all of your questions to the mayor, or in his absence, the vice mayor. Do not direct questions to the alderman or staff members. If necessary, the mayor may call on the alderman or staff members concerning your questions or comments. Once you have given your input, please return to your seat so we can continue. We ask that every speaker avoid the use of improper language, profanity, or other inappropriate conduct and address issues, not individuals or personalities, with malicious comments. Speakers should strive to avoid redundancy and should have their own original viewpoints. We ask that you also stay on topic of that agenda item. We're here tonight doing the people's business, and this is a very important responsibility for all of us. We'll start tonight with a roll call for a quorum prior to standing for a silent prayer, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to our country's flag, which will be led tonight by the Vice Mayor.
Alderman Burnett.
Here.
Alderman Meyer. Vice Mayor Pavlin.
Here.
Alderman White is absent. Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, any agenda amendments?
No, sir.
None? Okay, if
Move to
none,
approve.
Second.
okay. All in favor of approval, say yes.
Yes.
Let the record show July 27th, 2023 agenda has been approved as posted. Any amendments to the,
No, sir.
none? Okay, if none, I'll ask for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, if in favor of approval, say yes.
Yes.
Any noes? Let the record show the July 13th, 2023 minutes have been approved as posted. Mayor's report, I am going to start with reading something that was sent to me from our Wendy Smith, our communication manager. In recent years, we've seen new developments at the intersection of Kingston Pike and Campbell Station Road and the start of the Biddle Farms, Farragut's new town center. There are other areas designated mixed-use town center on the future land use map, and we'd like for the community to share their ideals about how this area should be developed and what new infrastructure is needed. The public is invited to one of the two public meetings on Thursday, August the 31st at the Farragut Community Center. Meeting times are 11:30 a.m. To 1 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The meetings will be facilitated by TSW, a contractor that's been hired to develop a vision plan for property designated as the MUTC and other upgrades to the comprehensive land use plan. Any more information needed, then go to the website, and it's every bit right there. So next, I want to start by thanking all of our Farragut committee members for their service to our community. They're a critical part of our organization. And I also want to thank the committee chairman who gave us the committee reports. A great job by all. And again, we're fortunate to have their dedication. Next, I will turn it over to the vice mayor for her report.
I have a few things. I hope you'll bear with me. First, I'd like to acknowledge we have John Schoonmaker, our 5th District Knox County Commissioner, in the room. And I would like to also announce to anyone who has suffered the poor pavement condition on the Farragut High School campus, you can thank John Schoonmaker for pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and he finally got it all paved. It looks beautiful up there. I think they were on campus, so they decided to cover the Farragut Intermediate and Middle School as well, because I was up there and they were getting ready to stripe those parking lots. So much needed. Appreciate your efforts, Commissioner Schoonmaker. I have two other things I'd like to point out. One is, I'm dubious about the congratulations, but Town of Farragut Mayor Ron Williams was sworn in as the president of the Tennessee Municipal League during their annual meeting held July 22nd to the 25th. The state of Tennessee has 345 municipalities, all but 15 are active with the TML. Many in our community may not realize it, but January to April is a nerve-wracking time for most municipalities. There always seems to be some legislation that has been proposed that usurps local control. It's called preemption. A recent example that the residents are aware of was the small cell antenna legislation approved in 2018 by the Tennessee General Assembly, which completely overrode the ordinance this body approved in 2017. We were left powerless to guide the location of small cell antennas in our community as a result. Mayor Williams worked tirelessly during the last General Assembly session to call out legislation that would harm us on a local level. He spent hours calling mayors of other small towns and cities to sound the alarm when needed. He worked with our Knox County State delegation as well as other state leaders across the state of Tennessee. He is well-versed in the demands of this role, and I have no doubt he will represent us well. But it's a lot of work. So congratulations, but I don't know when you have time to sleep. So. One other thing, you all, we've got this in our, I know you don't like paper, but I get this and I'm thinking, yay, I get to review stuff. I always go to our taxable property page to figure out where we are, how we're doing in Farragut. We are 3% of the land mass. We make up 5% of Knox County's population, and we generate more than 10% of the property tax collected by Knox County. To be specific, we generated last year $31,763,053 in property tax in the town of Farragut. We do not receive any of that money. That goes straight to Knox County. They have never shared that money with us, and they will never share that money with us. That's Knox County's funding. My understanding is 42% of that goes to general fund, 38% of that goes to the general school fund, and 20% goes to debt service. The other analysis I did was, in here you will find our local sales tax, what was collected in fiscal year 2022. The combination of local sales tax, mixed drink tax, our grant money, and property tax, we generate $21,327,249 for the Knox County school system for fiscal year 2022. I thought that's something that our Board of Mayor and Aldermen and our citizens should understand, that we are contributing quite a bit to both Knox County and Knox County schools. And that's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you. Very informative. Okay, next, tonight we have no ordinances, but we do have 7 business items, and we'll start off with approval of an agreement, restrictive covenant, and security agreement between Town of Farragut and the Smithfield subdivision.
Mr. Smoke would normally handle this, but he asked me if I would handle it since I worked on the agreement with him. The the purpose of this agenda item is to approve an agreement, to consider and approve, hopefully, an agreement between the Town of Farragut and the Smithfield Homeowners Association for infrastructure repairs. Smithfield subdivision, located to the east of Smith Road near the intersection of Grigsby Chapel Road, was established in the early 1900s and has 40 lots. When the subdivision was first developed, there were oak trees planted in the 6-foot grass strips between the sidewalk and the street that have grown over the years and provided a beautiful streetscape for the neighborhood. Although street trees are encouraged in our subdivision design regulations, the use of oak trees in such a tight space is problematic due to how large the trunks get and the damage that can occur as the root system continues to mature. In the case of Smithfield subdivision, our Public Works Department has been making numerous repairs to the sidewalks and the catch basins for several years due to damage the roots from these street trees are causing. Early this year, staff identified Smithfield subdivision as needing to be repaved during the annual repaving program. Staff had discussions with the neighborhood and provided them options to repair the existing sidewalks and streets, which included the removal of all sidewalks, no future repair costs needed, bridging over the existing tree root systems in 36 areas that needed to be repaired, which would result in the homeowners association paying for future repair costs due to root systems, and then milling and repaving the streets. The neighborhood decided it was very important to them to preserve the trees and keep their sidewalks as well. The attached agreement that you're considering tonight provides the town will make the necessary milling and repaving of the streets in the subdivision as is standard in all town residential subdivisions. If future repairs are needed due to root damage caused by the trees in the subdivision prior to 15 years after the current repairs are made, the Smithfield HOA would be responsible for the cost of those repairs. If the future repairs are needed due to root damage caused by the trees in the subdivision that occurs between 15 and 25 years after the current repairs are made, the town and Smithfield HOA would share the cost based on the age of the street at the time and under a formula that is defined in the agreement in Section 5B. All repair costs of the streets after 25 years would be the responsibility of the town, as it normally would be, as stated in Section 5B(3)(i). Any future sidewalk, curb, or drainage inlet repairs that would need to be made due to root damage, the Smithfield Homeowners Association would be responsible for the cost to repair. As these infrastructure items identified in the agreement are within the town of Farragut's right-of-way, all repairs would be the responsibility of the town of Farragut to make, and at the town of Farragut's sole discretion to decide on the method of repair. The cost to repave the streets and perform sidewalk repairs are included in the FY23 repaving contract with APAC Atlantic, Inc. This agreement that is attached is recommended for approval by the town administrator, David Smoke. What we're looking for, I guess, is a motion to approve the attached agreement, which is a restrictive covenant and a security agreement between the town and the Smithfield Homeowners Association.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, do we have any resident comment? Anyone signed up
No,
to
sir.
speak? No one? Okay, discussion, Vice Mayor?
Well, go ahead and let Scott go.
Okay.
first. He made the
Oh, I'm
motion.
sorry. Go ahead. You'll pass?
Pass.
Okay.
Tom, I assume that Smithfield is, you guys have negotiated this, and this is approved by both the HOA and obviously the town.
That would be an understatement.
Okay.
We have discussed it ad nauseum.
Repeatedly. Okay.
It's a fairly complicated agreement, but it does, I think, what needs to be done.
Well,
And Smithfield has approved it.
Yes, and I appreciate that. I looked at the earlier versions, I'm like, okay, they weren't clear as to some of the protections that I thought that the HOA should be seeking. So I appreciate this language. I think it's a fair agreement between the two of us, protecting our interests but protecting theirs as well. So thank you for your effort. I know this came to our agenda a few times and had to be booted off for just a refinement of the language, so thank you.
No problem.
Alderman Burnett?
I mean, I guess my one concern is what happened, these are some pretty costly repairs when they happen, catch basins, sidewalks, roads, routes that go under the road. Most HOAs run pretty thin. I mean, even if they're in good working order, they don't have an extra 75 grand laying around to address issues like this. I mean, what's the feasibility of repairs like that coming in the next, that's 15 years that they're responsible.
It's not as much as you would think, but we do have a Section 6 of the agreement addresses this. And what it provides is that the homeowners association will grant the town a security interest in its right to receive, but not to make assessments from its members as security for the amount the association is obligated to pay to the town for the costs resulting from the provisions of Section 5. So we become a secured creditor holding a security interest in their right to receive assessments from their members to secure the obligations that they undertake in this agreement. It's kind of like when you give the bank a security interest in your vehicle to secure the debt, the money they loan you to buy the vehicle, they can come and repossess your vehicle. If we haven't been paid as required, then we have the right to tap in and receive their assessments from their members as a security for that obligation. And then they're also going to create a sinking fund. Their board has approved a sinking fund that they will start putting money in to that sinking fund, and we're also granted a security interest in that sinking fund. So we tried to anticipate the fact that, years from now, people might forget about this, and we'll have public, this document will be recorded in the Register of Deeds office, and the documents perfecting the security interest in the assessments will also be recorded so that other lenders will know that we have a security interest in those. Really, they're really accounts receivable that are owed to the association.
I guess
I have something to
my
add to it.
only, I'm not a proponent to go cut the trees down. I know they're beautiful, but it just seems like an issue that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and that a small neighborhood can't keep up with
Alderman
the
Burnett,
repairs that
can I
will be
give you
needed.
some insight? Because Fox Run is going through this right now, where we realize that we have all of these amenities, and we never established a capital fund to take care of them. And so we are kind of putting that in place. I'm encouraged that they're establishing a sinking fund, because I guess that's what it's called, because that in and of itself will be a placeholder for funds. And any future HOA board coming in, new members will see this and say, well, what is this? And there will be some history there to say, okay, this is for, we're saving for in case our sidewalks, because we don't want to remove our trees. They value their trees so much that they're willing to take on this extra cost if these sidewalks fail. They are preparing for it. I would suggest, we ended up in Fox Run, we ended up putting into place a, what is it called, Alderman Meyer, the fee that people pay when they move in? When
Oh,
they
a buyer's
A
assessment.
buyer's assessment, and that is going straight into our capital improvement fund. That might be an option for funding this fund, is when buyers move, when a seller moves, the buyer comes in, they have this one-time fee at the beginning that can go straight to that, and it's dedicated for that, so. Okay. So they're preparing for it. It sounds like they understand that this is something that may be an issue with regard to their sidewalks. Most assured, that sounds like the biggest problem is the sidewalks, and I understand. It's in a lovely neighborhood. When I walked it, yes, there were lumpy, sidewalk was lumpy, but the trees are really quite beautiful there.
Yeah, they're very pretty. My concern is for the neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And taking on something
Yeah.
that in 10 or 20 years can't be supported. But that's, I guess my last comment there is, how do we stop this in the future and make sure that the correct trees with the correct root systems are placed in the right place?
That's a planning commission, having enough, grass space that's not 3 feet.
Yeah.
6 to 8 feet is really ideal for street trees. And that's what I've been kind of working with Mark on. Can we get a list of appropriate street trees that don't turn around and rip up your sidewalks and your streets, so that the future neighborhoods aren't dealing with the same issue?
I think that's one of the goals of the tree board,
Yeah.
is to do that, is to look at the trees that are deep-rooted and the ones that can go in the narrow sections. So as it stands right now, if it's a commercial property, then the VRRB looks at it as far as landscaping. And because of that, then it gets reviewed by Mark and Bart about what they plan to put in. And then if it's something like a oak, then they nix that. And same thing with the maples that come up out of the ground. So it's something we're very aware of. I'm on the VRB, and we talk about these things when we do the landscaping, and it's now kind of spilling over into the residential. So you're going to see more discussion about that, I think, once the tree board kicks in. So that's all I've got.
We worked with Mr. Bob Cross. I don't know if you want to hear from him, have any questions for him. He's with the Homeowners Association. He's here tonight.
I think that they're comfortable. If they're comfortable, then we need to be comfortable with
Yeah.
it. They, sounds like they're preparing for it.
Should I go up there?
If you, yeah.
Bob Cross, 425 Heathermore Drive in Smithfield subdivision. First, I want to say that I very much appreciate us as a community, support from the town of Farragut. David Smoke's been a great person to work with. Tom's been a tough negotiator, and so have I. But it worked out very well, and I do appreciate that. Tom's always got good humor and had good conversations. We love the trees in Smithfield, love the neighborhood, and I appreciate those very kind comments from everyone. We think we have taken appropriate prudent financial steps to make sure that we able to honor, meet the obligations in the agreement. So we're very comfortable with that. Our board has met and approved unanimously the agreement. So I hope that the board will agree with and accept the agreement as written. So, but again, I appreciate the efforts of everyone that we worked with at the town. It was very positive always at the Tree City. And again, I'm very, very grateful for that as the board and the members of the community.
Thank you, Mr. Cross.
Okay, has anyone got any questions for Mr. Cross? If not, then thank you. Okay, with discussion completed, I'll ask that if in favor, vote by saying yes.
Yes.
Let the record show that the agreement has been approved as written. Thank you.
Bob. Bob.
You'll sign it?
Bob, you need to sign that.
Save you a trip.
That's the last step, so.
There you go.
Okay, next is approval appointment to the Farragut Education Committee.
Yes, sir. This is to, let's see here. It's the motion on this will be to appoint Shasta Tact as the Farragut Primary School Representative to the Farragut Education Relations Committee.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any resident comments?
No, sir.
None. Then discussion, Alderman Meyer. Alderman Burnett.
Excited for Justa to join the committee, and I think she'll be a great asset.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
I have nothing.
Nothing. I have nothing as well. Discussion complete. I will ask that if in favor, vote by saying yes.
Yes.
Let the record show that the appointment has been approved as requested. Approval of amendment to professional services agreement with Civil and Environmental Consultants, Inc. for stormwater mapping and assessment project. And Darrell Smith, you're up. There you are.
Good evening. You'll recall back in December, you approved an agreement with TDEC, that's the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, for a $1.7 million grant for stormwater improvements. One of the requirements, one of the federal procurement requirements, is that certain provisions and certifications be included in the contract with our consultants. For these two projects that were identified in the grant, we were already under contract with CEC. That's Civil and Environmental Consultants. Since we were already under contract, we had not included the provisions and certifications that the federal procurement requires. So TDEC is generous in allowing us to just amend the contract. It really has no effect on the financial part of the grant or the contract at all. So it's really just this kind of a housekeeping measure. So I don't know if you've had a chance to read that amendment that Tom Hale had drafted, but staff recommends approval as presented.
Move to approve.
Any resident comments?
No, sir.
None? Okay. Then we'll start off with Alderman Burnett.
Questions?
None. Alderman Meyer.
Pass.
Vice Mayor.
I have nothing.
I have nothing as well. With discussion complete, I'll ask that if in favor, vote by saying yes.
Yes.
Let the record show that amendment has been approved as discussed. Thank you, Darrell. And we'll move on to the next one, which is approval of amendment to professional services agreement with Civil and Environmental Consultants, Inc. for development of FY22 stormwater repairs.
I probably should have pointed out that one that we just approved, that was for the stormwater assessment and mapping. That was the $1,032,000 contract. This is exactly the same amendment for a different contract for the stormwater repairs.
Yeah.
Staff recommends approval as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any residential?
No, sir.
None. Okay. Then discussion, Alderman Burnett,
No questions.
Alderman Meyer,
Pass.
Vice Mayor.
None.
I have none as well. With discussion completed, I will ask that if in favor, vote by saying yes. Okay, let the record show that the amendment has been approved as presented. Okay, next will be approval of supplement requests from Civil and Environmental Consultants for additional services related to the FY22 stormwater repairs project.
While we're on Civil and Environmental Consultants, we have a supplement request from them. Since we were able to get that grant back in December, we expanded the repairs project a little bit. We've added 3 locations, and it kind of expanded outside the scope that they already had under contract. So this is a request for an additional $9,250 and staff recommends approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, resident comments?
No, sir.
Okay, discussion, Alderman Mayor,
Pass.
Vice Mayor.
I have just a couple of questions. So Maple Tree Drive is in Sedgefield.
Correct.
Is that close to where the big stormwater failed, or what's going on there?
I want to say it's upstream from there.
Okay.
It's not quite on the same drainage way, but it's uphill from there.
Okay, and Clover Fork is in, oh crud, it's not Village Green, it's,
Woodshade?
no. it's-
Country Manor?
Yes.
Country Manor, yeah.
It's, what is that, just another little stretch that has been identified?
It is.
Okay. And then, of course, 317, that's in Saddle Ridge.
Yeah.
These are just, are they failing, or is it just something that they need?
It's just something that we were going to have to do anyway
Okay.
soon.
Okay,
We might as well get rid of them while we
yep,
have the money to do so.
okay. That's all I had.
Okay, Alderman Burnett?
No questions.
I have none as well. With discussion complete, I'll ask that if in favor, vote by saying yes.
Yes.
And let the record show that the request has been approved.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Darrell. Okay, next will be approval of memorandum of understanding between the Farragut West Knox Chamber of Commerce and the Town of Farragut for FY 2024.
Good evening, Board of Mayor and Alderman. I'm Trevor Hobbs, and it's my privilege to present to you this MOU for your approval. By way of background, the town last updated the MOU with the Farragut West Knox Chamber of Commerce in 2022, and it terminated as of June of this year. The proposed MOU would make a few changes and replace that agreement. Those changes that you see in the packet are based on direction and feedback that we received as a result of the April workshop. So in terms of the substance of the changes and of the agreement itself, it is made up of the Memorandum of Understanding, Attachment A, which summarizes member benefits at the admiral level, Attachment B, which summarizes some specific initiatives and how they relate to key results that are jointly valued by the Chamber and the town. And lastly, Attachment C, which describes the several key performance indicators that the Chamber will use in their quarterly progress reports. So then there are essentially three main changes that you'll see in the MOU. The first being the proposed MOU increases payment from $25,000 to $35,000 for the one-year term. Second, as a result of changes in the membership structure, the town will now be referred to as an admiral member of the chamber. However, as best I can tell from looking at the membership benefits, we will receive the same benefits as we did last year under the Admiral Elite category. And then lastly, you'll see that in consideration for services rendered by the Chamber, the town will provide complimentary use of the Farragut Community Center for their holiday open house, new member orientations, and home-based business ribbon cutting ceremonies. These uses have been agreed upon in the past, but this is an opportunity to memorialize them in a formal document. And so in conclusion, the proposed changes for the Memorandum of Understanding between the Town of Farragut and the Farragut West Knox Chamber of Commerce would allow for the continued partnership for an additional year terminating as of June 30th, 2024. Therefore, it is proposed that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen approve the Memorandum of Understanding between the Town of Farragut and the Farragut West Knox Chamber of Commerce for FY 2024 for the total amount of $35,000. I'm also joined this evening by Julie Blaylock and Christine Dean of the Chamber, and I believe they have some comments they'd like to make as well. And I will yield the floor.
Okay, thank you, Trevor. for all. This is still part of the presentation.
Good evening, Board, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman. It's good to see you this evening. Julie Blaylock, Farragut West Knox Chamber of Commerce, addressed at 11826 Kingston Pike, Suite 110 in Farragut. I think Trevor did a wonderful job presenting the MOU that he and I have worked on tirelessly together for the last few months. We've gone back and forth to make some changes that we hoped would be in alignment with the new Economic Development Strategic Plan, which I said this last year, and I want to reiterate. I think the fact that, that the town has Trevor on staff and that he is developing this plan and we have the opportunity to work with him is excellent. It makes us excited for the future, as I hope it does you. I gave Allison a little one-pager handout to give to you all. One of the sides you've seen before, I think. It's just a study that was done by the Shapiro Group some time ago about the value of joining chambers of commerce and how we impact businesses in different ways. The flip side is just a little bit of a write-up on how we specifically support businesses. And then at the bottom, I've included some KPIs from our past fiscal year. Those KPIs reflect the key KPIs and performance indicators that Trevor and I have discussed. As you can see, we saw a 44% increase in joins this past fiscal year from the prior. So growth is happening at a pretty fast pace. If you look at the green bar graph, you can kind of see our trends over the last year from last July to this July, which we're in our new fiscal year. Total membership as of the end of the fiscal year was 670. That was an 8.2% increase. We had 204 businesses identified as being Farragut. So that's approximately 30% plus of our total membership. And then one other thing that we're trying to track is penetration rate. So one of the KPIs that Trevor and I talked about is the percent of total businesses in Farragut who are actually a member, because that represents how well we're penetrating this community. There's variable data out there on chambers of commerce penetration rate. On average, I've read that most chambers see anywhere from 8 to 10% penetration of the community they represent, depending on how big that is. If you look at our neighbor peer, the Knoxville Chamber of Commerce, they show a record of about 2,200 members. Now, we've talked about how we think there may be 20,000 businesses in Knox County. So if you look at that, their penetration rate is about 11% of the region they represent. If you look at the census.gov data, which says about 12,500 businesses, their penetration rate goes up to 17.6%, which is great. Per census.gov, 559 Farragut businesses, which is all employer firms referenced as of 2017. We don't have more recent data than that. But if you use that, we currently have a 37% penetration rate. Certainly room for improvement, which I would love to see. And I appreciate Trevor's help and the support of my staff and my board and my volunteers. Any questions? Nothing?
I'm going to make a move to approve the memorandum of understanding between Farragut West Knox Chamber of Commerce and the town of Farragut for fiscal year '24.
Second.
Okay. We will, any rest of comments on
No,
this?
sir.
Okay. Then we'll start off with Alderman Meyer.
I'm always excited about our partnership with the chamber, and I support this agreement wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Burnett?
Yeah, thanks, Julie. Excited about the partnership. Just curious, that extra 10 grand, what do you see that, what kind of value that brings, or what does that cover?
Yeah, so, obviously, inflation has hit all of us hard, and our board and our committees are doing the things we need to do to, cut costs where we can and also increase revenue, and that's a big goal for myself and my staff this year. But with the jump in activity, which we're seeing in terms of our membership growth, I need more bodies, and so it would be most helpful to accelerate the timeline to which I can add a fourth person. who can, support my staff, with administrative support, be available to the members on a more consistent basis. We continue to be very active in the community and provide a lot of opportunities for networking that have structure and have purpose. That takes us out of the office a lot. So I need someone who can be available so we can function the way we would like to. Also on goal, if you look at the grid that we presented that's part of that packet, there are some goals to build some strategies between ourselves and our partner organizations so that we can be more unified in messaging about Farragut as a place for businesses.
Thanks.
You good?
I'm good.
Yes, good, thanks.
You good?
I'm good too.
You're good? Okay, I am too. Okay, looks like we are completed with our discussion. So I'll ask that all, if in favor, vote by saying yes.
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 Let the record show the request has been approved as requested. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next will be approval of memorandum of understanding between the Farragut Business Alliance and the town of Farragut for FY 2024. Trevor, you're up
All
again.
right. Well, it is also my privilege to present to you the memorandum of understanding between the town and the Farragut Business Alliance for fiscal year 2024. By way of background, the town last updated its agreement with the Farragut Business Alliance in 2019, and it just automatically renewed each year until it terminated as of June of this year. And that was at a rate of $70,000 per year for those terms. The MOU before you tonight would replace that MOU and make several changes as well. And this was also based on feedback that staff received during the April workshop. So in terms of the substance of the agreement and what changes you'll see, they're all in red, so you can kind of see those as well. But first, we have several basic language changes, changing dates, some grammatical updates, of course, there. So you see a lot of those. But secondly, you'll note that in considerations for services, we have a change from $70,000 for collective services to now having a combined total payment to the FBA for $55,000 for the term, and you'll see that is based on $35,000 paid equally over as quarterly payments for the Shop Farragut program, and then separately you'll have $20,000 for providing community events, and those can be received in two separate installments of $10,000 each, up to 90 days prior to the event itself. And then lastly, you'll see that in consideration for services rendered, that the town will provide them with 6 complimentary rentals at the Farragut Community Center. These complimentary uses have been approved in the past, but this is simply an opportunity to more memorialize in a formal agreement. So in conclusion, the proposed changes to the memorandum of understanding between the town of Farragut and the Farragut Business Alliance would allow for a continued partnership for an additional year, which would automatically renew for 1-year terms unless terminated. Therefore, it is proposed that the Board of Mayor and Alderman approve the memorandum of understanding between the town of Farragut and the Farragut Business Alliance for FY 2024 for a total of $55,000. I'm also joined this evening by Steve Krimpaski and Candace Vax of the Farragut Business Alliance. They have some statements they would like to make, after which we will entertain questions. And I yield the floor.
Okay. Trevor, you want this to be part of the presentation as well, like what you, okay, thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us tonight. I appreciate you, Mayor and Vice Mayor. I've contacted each of you separately and was able to talk with each of you separately, and I appreciate your time while we've been able to discuss this. I just want to make sure that everybody understands Farragut Business Alliance, I became the president in 2018. And unfortunately, the previous president is no longer with us. And so I had to kind of make some changes and figure out exactly what the town of Farragut wanted from the Farragut Business Alliance. And we are a 100% volunteer board of business owners. We're all located in Farragut, but we need the town of Farragut's monetary support because we don't have monthly dues and we don't have any kind of formal income other than the support from the town and the events that we currently host in the town of Farragut that are strategic for the businesses that are in Farragut that are small. Knox County did pledge a one-time donation of $9,500 for our Farragut Harvest Festival 2023, so I was very appreciative of that. And again, we don't have funding from the hotel motel tax. I believe I spoke with several of you that might be a possibility going forward, especially with our event like Doc Dogs that's coming up. That's going to be August 11th, 12th, and 13th. That's going to bring in people from all over the area and frankly, the United States. In fact, we just met with the Hampton Inn, and we have 4 or 5 rooms set aside for the people that are coming to this event. So it is definitely something that we need to link up with the tourism board going forward for some of these larger events that, you know, we would love to be able to have that relationship. But I've listened to each of you, and I know exactly what it is that you're asking. And supporting Farragut businesses is our #1 goal, and that is what we are going to be doing. But we also need to increase sales tax. And that also means that you guys are asking that of us to bring in sales tax dollars to our small businesses, which also means that we have to reach outside of the Farragut limits. We have to have the Hardin Valley and the Choteau and the Knox County monies.
Before you continue, I've got to correct you on this.
Okay.
If a Knox County or outside business comes into Farragut and sells in Farragut, we don't get those tax dollars. They stay because the business is domiciled outside in unincorporated Knox County, those sales taxes go with them. They don't come to Farragut. The only taxes we get is businesses that are domiciled in Farragut, that sell in Farragut. Those are the taxes we get. That's all we get. That's why the focus has always been on town businesses. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there seems to be I don't understand why a business doing well in Choteau's not helping our bottom line. It's not bringing us, it doesn't go to our local sales tax generation. It's only businesses that are domiciled in Farragut, their taxes is what we make money on.
Yes, ma'am. And I understand that, except that I am a business in Farragut. And the tax dollars that come into my restaurant are not just from people that live in Farragut. I have to market and reach outside into Choteau and Hardin Valley because I want those monies in our Farragut bank accounts.
But that's different.
But the businesses that we are representing in Farragut Business Alliance, they are brick and mortar, and they are the businesses that are in the town of Farragut. But as far as reaching to bring more tax dollars in, we have to open up our umbrella to be able to bring in the dollars from the counties and the communities that are surrounding us. And I think that might just be where the disconnection is.
Okay.
That's a different story. You know, every business in Farragut has shoppers from all over.
Yes.
A good example of that is Parkside Drive. They have shoppers from quite a few counties. And when you look at Top Golf, and that's a good example, really is, and your restaurant too, is that we have people that come in and to drink wine at your place or to play golf at Top Golf, and they could come from anywhere. And when they spend money, that money stays there in Farragut. So to say that you're trying to attract other businesses, that's not really what we're after. We're after the people,
Right. Yes, sir.
not the businesses. The businesses that we are pushing for in this town, and we always have been ever since I've been here, is the Farragut businesses. And it's kind of a thing where the people that are from outside the town that come to our events, it's most appreciated. And we advertise knowing that we're going to have those people. And we try to make arrangements for the food and for the parking and everything else to go with it. So it's kind of a thing where the outside businesses really is not, when it competes with one of our businesses, when they come into an event that Steve has and they compete with one of our businesses, then we're a loser there.
Well, even if they don't compete, you're driving people out of Farragut to go shop at somebody's business that's not in Farragut.
Yes, ma'am, but we don't have a car dealership in Farragut.
And that's fine, but that's not what then that's what I'm going to get into. So go ahead
Yeah,
and finish what you
yeah,
have
go
to
ahead.
say. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
It seems to be a blockage that I can't feel comfortable funding until we have clarity. So
Okay,
proceed, please. I'm sorry.
no worries. Thank you.
Well, with that, Board, I'd be happy to answer any other questions you may have. Steve is also here as well.
Okay, any resident comments on this one?
Yes, sir.
Then if that's the case, I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Okay, let's start with discussion. Alderman Meyer?
So
I have some history to share. Would it be better? Could
Yeah,
I
why
go
don't you,
first,
because.
please?
Okay, if you prefer to go first, go ahead.
I have a history to provide so that we all understand how this all started. And I'm going right back to the beginning because I assume that there's public watching on the TV. The town of Farragut was founded in 1980. The founding members were intentional in establishing the town of Farragut without adopting a municipal property tax. The only property tax the property owners in the town of Farragut pay is the Knox County property tax. The town has not, does not, and will not receive any revenue from the Knox County property tax. The intention was for the town to be funded with various state taxes which are distributed to the municipalities and business-generated revenue from businesses domiciled in the town. Over the years, the Tennessee General Assembly has clawed back some of the state-shared revenues. In recent years, the Tennessee General Assembly phased out the hall income tax and put in place the Improve Act, which was the new gas tax. These actions were a substantial hit to our revenues. It forces the town to rely more heavily on business-generated revenue. More than 70% of the projected revenue for the town's fiscal year '24 budget is business-generated. As a result of these most recent actions, we as a board determined that we need a formal economic development strategic plan. The entities that are envisioned to carry out the economic development strategic plan are town staff, Visit Farragut, Shop Farragut, and Farragut West Knox Chamber of Commerce. The origins of the Farragut Business Alliance. The Farragut Business Alliance was established by a handful of Farragut business owners in the 2009 timeframe to advocate for changes in public policies regarding business in the town of Farragut. The FBA was established as a 501c6 corporation on May 5, 2010. The bylaws were adopted on September 15, 2011. Once the many issues regarding policy were resolved, the FBA leadership approached the town to take on the town's Buy in Farragut campaign. The FBA entered into its first memorandum of understanding with the town of Farragut on October 27, 2011. I have that in here. Sorry. I want to read from it. So here's the first one.
We're in no rush.
So the first MOU was in 2011, and it stated as their Exhibit A, Farragut Business Alliance shall provide the following services and support to the town of Farragut and the businesses located within the town's boundaries. One was a tourism economic development initiatives, business development, coordinate and promote special events within the town of Farragut, liaison between the town of Farragut and the business community. Shortly after that was assigned, they reached out to Ackerman PR to help them understand, because the town entered into an agreement that would fund in fiscal year 2012, 44,000, 2013 was 44,000, 2014, 37, 2015, 30, and 2016, 23,000. So the original vision was that the Farragut Business Alliance would become more financially independent and have other sources of revenue. And they had a review from Ackerman Publishing, or PR, and one of the challenges they identified were a lack of understanding regarding what you do and why is it a benefit to business owners and to Farragut residents in general, a reluctance or apathy of business owners to get engaged of on any kind of meaningful level with the FBA, overall lack of well-articulated value proposition and specific defined time-efficient ways for business owners to become involved in ways that contribute to their perceived return on investment, and no long-term funding plan which allows you to create more meaningful programs and services. And it seems that certainly the FBA certainly still struggles with that because they rely on our funding. The main avenue for business promotion started out as events. They were hosting events that the businesses could come in and participate. Art in the Park. A business would sponsor a station in Art in the Park, and it was a way for them to promote themselves but also be part of an event and get some visibility. Over the years, it's turned into the event is the driver, not the Farragut businesses. It's no longer just, it's not so much for the event. The event needs to work. And the event was supposed to be an avenue for the businesses to promote themselves. My concern is that we're putting the events above Farragut businesses, and the vision was always that the Farragut Business Alliance was going to be restricted to Farragut businesses. And that's how it works in our strategic plan. If the Farragut Business Alliance wants to expand their membership and go outside the boundaries, they can do that. But I don't see how that works for us, and we should not be funding, there shouldn't be any time spent from the executive director's point of view on anyone who isn't a business in the town of Farragut. Our businesses in our town of Farragut, we need to engage with them. If the events are not what's interesting them, what does? Is there a social media campaign we can do? I'm open to seeing a plan put in place that is reaching out and working with our Farragut businesses. I'm not open to a Shop Farragut FBA that is going out and bringing in businesses so that they can take people out of Farragut. I certainly appreciate that we need to be marketing in the local area and out there. That's what we do. Visit Farragut does that. That's certainly justifiable and needs to be done. We need to be bringing people to Farragut. But we don't need to be sending them out to businesses not in the town of Farragut, even if it's someone who we don't compete with, because you're sending someone out to a Chodo business and they're going to go have lunch out there when they're done their service. Well, that doesn't do anything for us. We rely on business-generated revenue to the tune of 72% of our projected revenue. We need a coordinated economic development strategic plan with everybody working in the same direction. Visit Farragut and Shop Farragut can collaborate on these festival events. Certainly, the Dock Dogs is has somewhat of a national draw. There's an opportunity there to collaborate and reduce the costs on Shop Farragut and can spread them out into our tourism. There may be other opportunities to look at that. There may be opportunities when Biddle comes online that these businesses want to have a special event, and Shop Farragut's in the position to help coordinate for them, because that's what Steve has done. He knows how to put an event together. There are grassroots, on the ground Farragut Business Alliance, but I can't support it if their goal is to move beyond the boundaries of Farragut. That does nothing for our bottom line. We need a focus. The Buy in Farragut campaign that we negotiated with the Farragut Business Alliance takeover was about buying in Farragut, being in Farragut. That's the heart and soul of this original program. That's where this comes from. And I'm open to working with some thoughtful ideas about how to move Farragut Business Alliance along to concentrate and regroup on our local businesses, because we now have Visit Farragut doing their part with the restaurants and retail, and supporting that, seeing some maybe social media campaigns. You know, it's going to be a grassroots, what works for our businesses. That's kind of where I am on this. I'm struggling with this constantly going back and wanting to open this up. That's not good for the town of Farragut. If the FBA wants to do that, they can do that, but that's not what we need. We don't have to fund that. That's all my point is.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Alderman Meyer?
So I have a question for Candace. I never got a clear picture as to why, what the intent and the why is for going to businesses outside of Farragut.
Right, so
When
the
you were
Farragut,
talking, if you could kind of clarify that for
no
me.
problem. Farragut Business Alliance, we are only Farragut businesses. There's no one in our Farragut Business Alliance board. There's no one at all. All of our internet website that we've been working on for the Shop Farragut campaign, those are all Farragut businesses. Let me get something. So at all of our events, we're trying to figure out, because some of these community and corporate events are going to have sponsors like Doc Dogs, that's going to bring in Purina Food and some other huge dollar amounts at some of these events. So how do we establish the Farragut businesses? Well, we need money, because we need to make these. Because every Farragut business is going to be able to have these on their tents provided by the Farragut Business Alliance. Another thing we're going to have is the website. Right now, Farragut does not have a business directory. Steve has been working on that for about 4 months. We're almost complete. We will have that done and ready for you by the 1st of September. And that's going to list every single Farragut business that we have on record with their phone number, address, and website information. All of our efforts are Farragut businesses, and that's what we are focusing on. But again, we are Farragut Business Alliance. We're not government, okay? And small businesses, I'm sorry, but they don't like government. So when Steve and I can go in and talk to these business owners, we're not elected, we don't have any motives. Hey, what do you guys need? How can we help? What are some things that are going on? We are just a group of volunteers. I run a restaurant. I don't have time to deal with all of this. I'm doing it because I love my community. I don't get a Karen or a Julie or a Trevor paycheck. I'm doing this because I love my town and I love my Farragut businesses. That's why I'm here. And if you know, whatever Vice Mayor wanted when we were doing our negotiations with separating out the monies, we listened, we got with Trevor, and we did it exactly the way that you guys have asked for. I have tried to accommodate, I've tried to work with, I hear you about Farragut businesses, and that's all we support, and that's the only people on our board are Farragut businesses. But the idea that Farragut businesses don't reach outside, I think that's where we're having the miscommunication, because there are a lot of people who come to Water and Wine that definitely do not live in Farragut, and we are grabbing their tax dollars every time they come to my restaurant and Topgolf. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to have an event where I'm going to tell Purina, no, we don't want your $5,000 because we can do the event without you. So these events and these things that we do, yes, we are looking at doing events that are only Farragut businesses. We have something that Steve's going to come and talk about that's coming up in September, that we're going to have a meet and greet. And you weren't here. I'm sorry that you weren't in April, but I brought several business owners, and I think, Drew, you probably remember them coming, talking about how important and how vital Farragut Business Alliance and Steve has been to their Farragut businesses in the last few years. So it's not like we're not doing anything, and frankly, I'm getting a little offended by some of this. Steve, can you come talk about what's going on in September?
I'm sorry, I'm going to,
Let's give Drew a chance.
My question time.
Yeah. Oh, you're
Sorry,
still on.
sorry.
You're still on? Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sure it is.
She answered it.
Oh, she sat down, so I thought you were,
Hi, Steve Krimpaski, 404 Justice Valley Street in Farragut. As the executive director, one of the things I have to do is make sure that we have a solvent organization. And unlike membership organizations and other organizations that supply products, we don't sell. We have very limited revenue streams. And one of the revenue streams that over the past several years I could grow was booth sales and sponsorship sales to our events. And we did not, our goal was never to seek businesses from outside the community to come to our events, but I do have to have a critical mass of participants to make it exciting, to make it real, to make it what it is, and it's taken a while to grow. And with that growth, I want to point out that Dog Days is now in its 7th year. And with the 7th year, we have brand new Farragut sponsors, including Cool Sports, Ag Pro, first time that ORNL Federal Credit Union's coming on board, first time for Apotheca. These are all at sponsorship levels, and these are our local businesses. First time for Y12 Credit Union to come on board. And then we have some small businesses too that came in on the community level with just a $250 thing, including Knox Massage and Wellness. So it takes a while to grow these events, but it also takes money. And that's what happens. But we do not go out of our way, nor do we do it on a daily basis. It's during these events that we look for the help, because it's one of our major revenue streams. During our regular program, the day-to-day, I'm right now currently working on this directory. We're growing a brand-new website, which we plan to unveil at a Farragut Business Networking. It's already held at September 12th over at the community center. We're going to have local restaurants bring in some food. Candace's restaurant said we may have some adult beverages there available, but we're going to unleash or launch our new website and show the directory and how they can participate and how we can use our website for a revenue stream. That being said, on a daily basis, I work with the businesses, especially a lot of new businesses right now with the grand opening sign program. We have the monthly contest, which has been going on since March of 2018. That is the Town Sampler. We worked with the Farragut Press and the local radio stations. I'm getting the word out on that. It drives people back to our website, which is going to be one of our major components. And it's all about the Farragut businesses. I work with them on opening things, and I also direct them to join the chamber and to do ribbon cuttings and what have you when the time comes. So we're trying to work with all of the economic development people here, and I think Trevor can back me up on that since I attended all the meetings that we felt were necessary. I even attended meetings to see what to do with the mansion over here at Campbell Station. So I'm willing to take any more questions, but never has it been a goal to go out and seek to promote businesses outside this town. Now, I say I'll take the money from those businesses outside to help support so I'm not in the hole or coming back and asking it for any more money.
So just make sure I understand,
We
Steve.
never did that in 7 years that I've been the executive director.
And thank you. So just make sure I understand. So when we're dealing with outside Farragut businesses, it is because they're doing some kind of sponsorship of some kind of event.
They have a booth, and some of them are mom and pop businesses too.
But they're
selling jewelry and dog bandanas and things like that at the events, and it's events specific. But that is just to help get a critical mass to make it a bigger event, to get more people attracted to it, to come into town here. And we do them in our shopping centers so that they can see what is in our shopping centers, which are set back from the highway.
Okay. No more questions. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Burnett. Thank you, Alderman.
Yeah, I guess I have a little different view on the outside Farragut businesses coming into town. I completely understand the points you made, Louise, and from a tax revenue standpoint, I definitely get it. I guess where I see it a little different is one of the goals is bringing people to our businesses, bringing them to the town, bringing them to Village Green Shopping Center, bringing them to West End Center.
Yep.
And when they get there, the event's one thing. I mean, I even think about that event we were at last year where they were dressed up in Halloween costumes and we were voting on the best costumes. I came to that event, watched that. That was pretty funny, and then walked around the tables. Well, guess what else I did when I was done? I walked over to that little antique shop in Homespun. We actually bought our kitchen table in there, which was fantastic. But I walked over there, walked through the store, just because I was at Village Green Shopping Center out of my car and walked around and then left. And so, do I want to see 80% businesses outside of Farragut come to these? No, I don't think that's what's happening, but I tend to think of the event, and the bigger the event, the more exciting it is. The more exciting it is, the more people come, and then the more people come, more people stop and get gas, stop and get something to eat, swing in Turkey Creek, swing in Fresh Market and get something while they're already out of their car, kind of like I was. So I don't have the same view of anything outside Farragut is not good for the event or for our town. I think it could get out of control, clearly, but I think the events themselves having plenty of sponsors and it being an exciting place to be makes more people want to come, and when more people want to come, they fill up a shopping center and they have to drive by all our other businesses and decide if they're going to stop in there or not. Then they go to the event, then they're surrounded by Farragut businesses. So I feel like the bigger and more exciting it is and the more vendors that are there, it gives more opportunity for you to spend your money. That's why leaving the store, when you have all those things up front, you're just looking to grab something small on the way out. Well, when they come and they see all our businesses, it's just a few more decisions they have to make about, wow, do we want to run in there? Do we want to run in, Steinmart's a bad example, but any of the businesses that are there. And so, I would throw a couple maybe ideas out for maybe just to chew on, but maybe it's for the community events, a percentage of businesses that have to be in Farragut. Maybe we look at the Shop Farragut and take it from 35 to 45, which highlights our desire for it to be a Farragut-focused group, but we still have those community events that could bring businesses from outside. So again, I know a couple of y'all have been way more involved than I have on outside of these board meetings with the FBA, but in general, I don't have as big of an issue getting some outside businesses that would make our current events or the events planned bigger and better, where I want to keep walking up and down because they're businesses that I just don't see that often. So it's just my thoughts.
Okay, thank you, Alderman. Tonight we are looking, this has been a lot of discussion about past history and things that have went on and what the future looks like. We have a draft here of our economic development strategic plan framework, and this is something that Trevor and some have been, the Vice Mayor have been working on as far as the priority initiatives, and so the economic part of it is what the Vice Mayor explained as far as the sales tax. When it's something like Doc Dogs, where you have that's a major event, that's something that, yes, it could be included with tourism. There needs to be discussion on that matter, and but that's probably the only one I see that that would fall into that category. All the rest of them are pretty much Farragut exclusive events, and I think it needs to stay that way. And that's kind of how this MOU is written. So if there is no other
I
discussion,
have a little bit, because I'm a little frustrated and I'd like to defend myself.
okay.
My husband and I opened up Anytime Fitness in 2013. I know what it feels like to build something from the ground up, as Ms. Viox does. It was an empty shell. In fact, there wasn't even any plumbing in it. We had to build it. We spent our money, our hard-earned money, to open up that building, to get it established, and that business has been operating for 10 years. I joined the FBA board in 2015. I volunteered to serve at a lot of their events. I've hauled garbage for more events than I'd like to admit to. I've tromped through mud because most of our events end up raining. I've helped organize and direct people to get through these events. I have done my time on the FBA. I know why the FBA was started. I have a heart for my community. I sit up here. I get abused on social media. I've been at this for how many years now? 2013 is when I joined the MPC. Been at this for 10 years. Please, don't question where my heart is. We are in a position where the state government continues to put things in place that take money away from us. And we need a defined and very coherent strategic plan to go forward. We need to have Shop Farragut be of value to businesses in the town of Farragut. When a business in the town of Farragut is wandering around and sees one of their competitors at a Shop Farragut event, they wonder, what's the value of Shop Farragut for me? Then it's not focused on just Farragut. They're letting this business from Choteau out here, or this business up here. That is not the purpose of those events. Those events were supposed to be in combination, a community event, to help Farragut businesses gain more attention in the marketplace, which we need, because we need thriving businesses. So this is supposed to be centered around a type of a Main Street program. A Main Street program is got defined borders and boundaries, and I think the hardest part for the FBA, and something we need to address moving forward, is funding. I would rather see them focused on the Farragut businesses, and I get what Steve Krimpaski is saying, that wasn't the intent. But we're still seeing businesses come in that it should be Farragut businesses. And that's my position at the end. So, and I agree with you. That's how this MOU is written. I would not want to see this language in the next program events where it says, community events, there will be a minimum of 2 special events provided where participants, vendors do not need to be domiciled in Farragut. That language needs to be worked on, to me. This is not the same thing as saying you can't have a national retailer, dog food, come in and be a sponsor. They sell in Kroger. They sell in, what's the small business that's helping with the pets business? Ricky's Pet Depot. I would love to see all of them in, because they're all sold in our local stores. So that's an opportunity. There's also an opportunity to, I don't know if you're going to be able to continue to have it in that parking lot. Pair up with Pinnacle. Steve Krimpaski brings all of the Farragut businesses. And if there's a place where Pinnacle wants to have it, then that's an opportunity. But I really want to see the FBA focusing on how we're going to get more businesses involved, Farragut businesses involved in this Shop Farragut campaign. That is my hope for the next year. I'd like to get through these next 2 events and then see that it's Farragut business focused.
Okay. I think with what Steve's doing to do a directory to actually identify the Farragut businesses, When you have that, then I guess you've got a list that you can go down and start looking at your dog people, and you can put them in categories and call on them and try to get more of them involved. Or if it's banks, you can do that, credit unions. You know, the type of businesses that will participate sometimes in events will surprise you. Every event that I've been to, and I go to all of them, you get a surprise of seeing different vendors every event you go to. Ones that you would not think about being at a place where they have an event like that. And those are the ones, they're Farragut businesses, and that's, if that's the focus of this MOU, then I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Burnett.
Yes.
Alderman Meyer.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pavlin.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Okay, let the record show that the request has been approved as requested. Okay, next will be, we will not have a town administrator's report tonight because he is absent. But we do have a town attorney, and I'll ask him if he has anything to add tonight.
Nothing to add tonight.
Okay, great. We have any residents sign up to speak?
No, sir.
None, okay. What time is this, guy? Okay, time is approximately 7:21 p.m. Without objection, July 27th, 2023, Farragut Board Mayor and Alderman meeting is now adjourned.